Indonesia's precious rainforests have been under continuous assault for decades. The rate of destruction has accelerated since the late 1990s due to massive illegal logging, spurred on by corruption and collusion by the authorities. More than 2 million hectares of forests are being lost every year, with the huge islands of Sumatra and Kalimantan bearing the brunt of the onslaught. It is predicted that lowland forest in both of these areas will be wiped out in the next 7 years. As forests are destroyed in western Indonesia by a powerful coalition of timber bosses supported by the police, army and politicians, their attention is now switching east. Their relentless march of destruction has moved to Indonesia's last frontier, the province of West Papua. The city of Sorong, on the northwest tip of Papua, is a hotspot for the illegal logging business. Its hotels and seedy bars are where deals are struck between the timber mafia and foreign timber buyers, mostly from Malaysia, China and India. Much of the illegal timber traded in Sorong is bound for the international market. In 2002, the Indonesian Navy seized the Singapore-registered vessel, the ASEAN Premier, carrying illegal timber destined for China. 3 other cargo ships were also seized, but one escaped, and the other 2 were released after bribes were paid.
Saya kira ya, Papua itu kan daerahnya remote. Dan saat ini kebetulan rawan, tanda kutip rawan, sehingga terdapat oknum-oknum dari TNI, dari Pemda, dari Kehutanan sendiri, dari Departemen Perhubungan Laut, itulah yang membackingan sekaligus mungkin sebagai pelaku adanya illegal trade atau illegal logging di Papua. Itu pada tahun 2001 kita punya data itu sekitar 30 sampai 50 kapal yang melakukan penyelundupan keluar, baik itu ke Cina maupun ke Malaysia. Kalau dihitung-hitung itu kan sekitar 600.000 meter kubik per bulan.
The prime target for the loggers is the merbau tree, a threatened species with the last commercial stands found on the island of Papua. While merbau can fetch up to $500 per cubic meter on the international market, communities around Sorong only receive as little as $10. Merbau is used for flooring and furniture. Large amounts are being illegally shipped out from Sorong despite Indonesia's log export ban. This shipping website shows consignments of merbau logs awaiting collection for delivery to China and India. In 2002, a cargo ship carrying illegal merbau from Sorong was detained in southern China, a major destination for illegal timber from West Papua.
Logging operations have been ready work in Sumatra, Kalimantan and Sulawesi. And now, the logging operation moving into Papua after merbau tree. And this merbau tree is actually the largest tree species in Papua and also quite valuable, and most of them goes for export.
The quest for merbau has driven logging deep into the remote virgin forests of Papua. EIA and Telepac travelled south of Sorong city, a day's journey by speedboat and on foot, to the home of the Kanasaimos tribe, to witness the impact of logging on traditional communities. The Kanasaimos people rely on agriculture, fishing, hunting and farming for their needs. Incursions into their forests by outside logging operations first began in the late 1990s, but have intensified recently due to the presence of merbau in the area.
Ya, tradisi masyarakat adat Kanasaimos ya, hidupnya masih meramu, tidak menetap di dalam setiap usaha untuk pencarian memenuhi kebutuhan menanam, tapi yang masih sifatnya tradisional. Hubungan sebagai kearifan masyarakat adat dengan alam itu sangat menjadi kebanggaan masyarakat, dan tatanan kehidupan masyarakat adat di sini melihat bahwa kekayaan alam yang ada itu menjadi aset utama, sehingga di dalam pengolahannya itu sangat sederhana. Jadi cara mengolah sagu masih menokok, ya, atau mencari ikan dengan alat tradisional. Dan untuk lingkungan ini, perasaan untuk melihat lingkungan itu sebagai bagian yang harus dihancurkan memang tidak. Itu termasuk rumah tangga yang besar. Masyarakat di sini untuk memenuhi kebutuhan itu mereka akan masuk keluar hutan dalam rangka mencari seperti rotan untuk bisa membangun rumah, menjahit atap untuk atap rumah, dan juga bisa mengambil damar. Damar itu dijadikan penerang.
Isolated from roads and rivers, this village derives most of its needs from the surrounding forest. Wildlife is hunted for food, and wild birds are caught for food and to be kept as pets.
Pertama, saya panjat dan gantung talinya, dan saya datang jaga. Ada juga bisa tanggap hari itu, kalau tidak lewat 2 hari.
But logging operations are already affecting villagers' ability to live off the forest.
Dampak dari penebangan di wilayah Kanasaimos itu mengakibatkan adanya satwa-satwa di situ jumlahnya berkurang. Sebagaimana pindah dari tempat itu ke tempat yang lain. Contohnya, masyarakat berburu burung di tempat itu tidak mendapat lagi seperti yang dulunya.
In 3 locations in the Kanasaimos tribal lands, illegal Merbau logging is taking place against the wishes of the community. Damage to the forest from logging roads is clear to see. EIA and Telepac observed large Merbau logs awaiting collection, clearly illegal, since no official permit has been granted to log in this area. The outsider responsible for the illegal logging of this tribal land is a military police officer called Kasper. Based at this nondescript building in Sorong City, Kasper has coerced members of the community to assist his logging operations and threatened reprisals to anyone who opposes him. This document shows an unofficial agreement between Kasper and a villager, Nixon Kolingar, whose name is also clearly visible on these illegal cut Merbau logs.
Ini saya bisa menjelaskan bahwa investor asing tadi kebanyakan diblokir di Sorong, sementara di backing oleh pihak militer. Itu sangat jelas. Jadi pihak militer yang sementara berada di balik pengusaha yang sekarang masuk di wilayah adat Kanasaimos itu salah satu, selain umumnya di tanah Papua yang kita sudah lihat. Sepertinya sekarang yang di sini Tuan Gaspar itu adalah Wadan Pom Sorong yang berada di balik pengusaha yang beroperasi di sini. Sehingga ya kami lihat prakteknya di lapangan memang seperti itu, dan sangat jelas bahwa yang hadir itu berlatar belakang militer, sehingga membuat masyarakat di sini jelas melihat namanya militer ini sangat tidak bisa, dia ada haknya untuk harus berbicara, duduk bersama tidak bisa.
Under autonomy laws, West Papua has adopted a system of small-scale logging concessions called Coppermas. Intended to allow communities to manage their own forest, Coppermas has instead been ruthlessly exploited by timber bosses and the military to obtain cheap timber at the expense of the indigenous communities. The exploitation of this Coppermas system is clear to see in Raja Ampat, a unique group of islands in Sorong province. Around half the 120 or so Coppermas concessions in the province are located in Raja Ampat, despite the islands being sparsely populated. EIA and Telepac visited Salawati Island with local activists and found logging activities in protected areas.
This is a nature reserve in North Salawati. This is one of the most biodiverse areas in the world, and yet we have here illegal logging being carried out in front of all the officials of the area, the police, the government officials, the military. It can't be going on without their complicity.
The names of the timber businessmen and their companies are well known.
Ya, jadi di daerah ini ada beberapa perusahaan kayu, ada beberapa perusahaan. Jadi salah satunya itu perusahaan kayu yang beroperasi di sini adalah Untayan Sejahtera Abadi milik Apong, nama Cinanya.
In 2002, the Kalyam area in the north of Salawati Island was logged by the same company, PT USA, despite the area being within a nature reserve. The damage done by the logging is clearly visible, yet the community received no compensation. Companies like PT USA are able to act with impunity due to collusion with the military.
Ya, jadi dari permasalahan yang ada di sini menyangkut illegal logging, seperti kita ketahui di berbagai media massa hampir berapa tahun terakhir ini, Sorong muncul terus. Ada kapal yang ditangkap, tapi kemudian kapal itu lolos dan di atasnya ada polisi yang menjaga. Itu menimbulkan pertanyaan, mengapa di depan mata bagian keamanan itu polisi atau TNI kapal bisa lolos.
There is also corruption in the local forestry office. Here, officials willingly and illegally redraw the boundaries of protected areas to suit the needs of timber companies, allowing access to valuable timber. Documents show that the companies even pay the forestry office expenses for boundary surveys. Much of the timber stolen from Raja Ampat enters the international market. EIA and Telepac discovered this Malaysian barge waiting to load merbau logs in a nature reserve on Batanta Island next to Salawati. Conversations with workers at the site revealed that the company was owned by a Malaysian who had recently switched operations from West Kalimantan. Illegal logs on board the seized vessel ASEAN Premier, bound for China, came from Raja Ampat. The early ravages of the rapacious logging industry which have afflicted much of Indonesia can be seen across West Papua. This last frontier of pristine forest is under dire threat as logging operations spread to the remotest areas. Yet, the only beneficiaries are the timber traders, their military protectors, and the corrupt officials who will redraw protected area boundaries and release ships laden with illegal timber for a price.
Dengan melihat adanya masuknya pengusaha ini, sangat prihatin bagi kami. Wilayah adat Masaimus itu sangat sempit. Dalam perhitungan waktu 5 tahun dia akan hanya tinggal tumbuh rumput. Tidak ada pohon lagi. Sedangkan visi dan misi dari Dewan Adat itu melihat negeri ini adalah titipan anak cucu. Berarti bukan artinya generasi sekarang yang harus menghancurkan.
Promises by the chief of the Indonesian military to root out corruption and by the Indonesian government to stop illegal logging have come to nothing.
The Adat people that own this land are being exploited even though there is a system in place where they should be able to use their own resources. What's happening is corruption is moving in, the military are involved, the police are involved, and what's needed is that the governor of Papua actually investigates what's happening with this corruption, with the military, with the police, and gives support to the local people who own these resources.